The observation deck hummed with quiet tension as Ambassador Drell adjusted his feathers for the third time in as many minutes. Below them, the human colony of Riverside sprawled across green valleys and rolling hills, looking deceptively peaceful in the afternoon light. The avian diplomat turned to face his colleague with barely concealed irritation. This is unnecessary, Hive. The humans have proven themselves adequate colonists. Why subject them to this barbaric test? Research Director Hive's compound eyes gleamed as multiple limbs manipulated holographic data streams. The insectoid scientist had spent decades studying species integration, and the humans remained an enigma. Adequate is not sufficient for full council membership. Every species must demonstrate they can handle their world's dangers without requiring constant rescue operations. Drell's crest flattened against his skull. You are releasing an apex predator into their settlement zone. Not near it, into it. The Shreth is contained within a 10-kilometer perimeter. If the humans respond appropriately with coordinated defense measures, they pass. If they panic or sustain significant casualties, we have medical teams standing by. Hive paused, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. Besides, this is standard protocol. The Centauri passed their assessment. The Dorians passed theirs. Those species have natural armor plating and venom sacs, Drell countered. Humans are soft, fragile. They evolved on a world where they had to create artificial protection because their own bodies offered none, which makes their expansion across multiple worlds all the more remarkable. Hive manipulated another screen, bringing up biological data. Their files indicate unusual behavior patterns around predatory species. Historical records show they domesticated wolves, creatures that hunted their ancestors. They kept scaled reptiles as companions. They even formed bonds with species that could kill them accidentally. Foolishness, not courage. Perhaps, or perhaps something we don't fully understand. Hive activated the transport sequence. The Shreth has been released. Down in the colony, Wilson Hayes wiped sweat from his forehead and surveyed the new greenhouse complex. The veterinary clinic occupied the eastern wing, complete with equipment for treating everything from minor injuries to major surgical procedures. After 2 years on Riverside, the colony had grown from 300 pioneers to nearly 1,000 residents, and the animal population had exploded alongside it. Chickens clucked in their coops. Goats bleated from the pasture. Someone's dog barked in the distance. Will smiled at the familiar sounds. He had spent his childhood on his grandmother's farm in Kenya, learning to read animal behavior before he could properly read books. That education had served him well through veterinary school and now here, light years from Earth. His assistant, a young woman named Ruby, stuck her head out the clinic door. Hey Doc, you need to see these tracks by the south field. Farmers found them this morning. Will followed her past the main agricultural zone where colonists tended crops adapted for Riverside's slightly longer growing season. The south field bordered the forest line, that careful boundary between civilization and wilderness that every frontier settlement maintained. Several farmers stood in a cluster pointing at the ground. The tracks were massive. Will knelt beside them, his heart rate picking up with excitement rather than fear. 6 toes, each ending in a retractable claw marking. The stride length suggested something big, easily the size of a Bengal tiger, maybe larger. The depth of the impressions indicated serious weight. He measured the print with his hand, then pulled out his scanner to record detailed images. What do you think, Doc? One of the farmers, an older man named Ray, shifted his weight nervously. Should we tell Captain Osei? Definitely tell her, Will said, still studying the tracks. But look at the gait pattern. Whatever made these was moving slowly, carefully, not hunting. More like exploring new territory. Is that supposed to make us feel better? Will grinned up at him. It means it's not aggressive right now. Probably more confused than dangerous. This print here is fresher than the others by about 6 hours. It's moving in a circuit, checking out the perimeter. Ruby crouched beside him. You think it's from the deep forest? Has to be. We haven't cataloged anything this size in the near zones. Will traced the claw marks with his finger, careful not to disturb the track. Look at how the claws retracted between steps. That's feline behavior. Big cat, probably an ambush hunter based on the muscle attachment points you can see in the pad structure. Doc, you're way too excited about something that could eat us. It won't eat us if we're smart about this. Will stood, brushing dirt from his knees. Ray, get Captain Osei. Ruby, help me set up motion cameras along this tree line. I want to know more about our new neighbor. On the observation deck, Hive tracked Will's movements with interest. The human is investigating the tracks alone. This shows either remarkable courage or remarkable stupidity. My vote is for stupidity, Drell muttered. He is examining the prints with scientific interest. See how he measures and documents. No fear response. No weapons drawn. He hasn't seen the actual creature yet. True. Hive zoomed in on Will's face, analyzing his expression, but his body language indicates excitement, not concern. Curious. Over the next several hours, Will worked methodically. He set up 12 cameras along the forest edge, each programmed to activate on motion and thermal signatures. He collected samples from the tracks, hoping to extract DNA or at least chemical markers. He mapped the creature's route, noting it had circled the colony twice without approaching the residential areas. By evening, he had a working theory. The animal was big, careful, and intelligent. It was avoiding direct contact while gathering information. That spoke to advanced predator cognition, the kind that assessed risk before acting. Will sat on a fallen log as sunset painted the sky orange and purple, reviewing his notes. The tracks told a story if you knew how to read them. This creature was alone, possibly separated from its normal territory. One print showed a slight drag on the rear left paw. Injury or just an irregular step? His radio crackled. Hayes, this is Osei. What's your status? Still at the South Field, Captain. I've got cameras up and samples collected. Good. Get back to the colony center before full dark. That's an order. Yes, ma'am. But, Captain, I don't think this animal is hunting us. I think it's just trying to figure out what we are. That's wonderful, Will. Now get back here before it figures out we're made of meat. Will chuckled and gathered his equipment. As he walked back toward the lights of the colony, he didn't notice the 6 glowing eyes watching him from the darkness between the trees. The Shreth tilted its massive head, confused by the small creature that had spent the afternoon studying its tracks with such focus. In its experience, prey ran. They hid. They gathered in frightened groups. They did not measure footprints and set up cameras. The Shreth's injured paw throbbed. The human had been so close, easy prey. But something about its behavior had triggered the Shreth's curiosity. Instead of its hunger, it would watch longer before deciding whether these strange, two-legged creatures were food or something else entirely. 3 days of careful observation had taught Will Hayes more about the creature than any textbook could have. The cameras captured glimpses of something magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. 6 powerful legs carried a body longer than a horse, covered in dark fur with subtle striping that made it nearly invisible in shadow. 3 pairs of eyes gave it incredible depth perception. When it opened its mouth to taste the air, rows of teeth designed for rending flesh gleamed in the moonlight. Will named it River, after the colony. The name felt right somehow. Each evening after his clinic duties ended, Will returned to the forest edge with offerings. Not bait, he insisted to anyone who asked. Offerings, leftover meat from the colony kitchen, fish from the river, once an entire goat that had died from illness, carefully checked to ensure the disease wasn't transmissible. The food disappeared every night. The cameras showed River approaching cautiously, circling each offering multiple times before eating. That injured paw became more obvious in the footage. The creature favored it heavily, and close-up shots revealed swelling around one of the middle toes. "You're insane," Ruby told him on the 4th evening as she helped carry a container of fish scraps. "Captain Osei is going to throw you in the brig when she finds out. She knows. I filed reports every day. And she hasn't stopped you?" Will grinned. "She hasn't stopped me yet." Big difference. They arranged the fish near the tree line, and Will set up a small camping chair 30 meters back. Ruby looked at him like he had grown a second head. "You're staying out here? River needs to associate humans with safety, not just food. That means being present. River, you named it? Her. The camera footage shows anatomical details. She's female, probably 4 or 5 years old based on tooth wear and body size." Ruby made a strangled sound of disbelief. "You're sitting in a chair in the dark waiting for a giant predator you've named River to show up and what? Have a conversation? Not expecting conversation. Just want her to see me and realize I'm not a threat. Will, you're insane, probably. Thanks for the help. Head back before dark." Ruby left, shaking her head, and Will settled into his chair with a thermos of coffee and his portable scanner. The sun dipped below the hills. Shadows grew long and merged into darkness. Nocturnal insects began their evening songs. Small creatures rustled in the undergrowth. On the observation deck, Ambassador Drell paced in tight circles. The human is sitting alone in predator territory, sitting in a chair, like he's waiting for a transport. Hive watched the thermal imaging with all of his attention. His heart rate is elevated but stable. Breathing normal. No stress hormones spiking. He believes he is safe. He is objectively not safe. That creature could cover 30 meters in less than 3 seconds. Yes, but it hasn't. For 4 nights, it has taken his offerings and retreated. It could have attacked him during setup multiple times. Drell's feathers ruffled with agitation. We should extract him. That would invalidate the test. Better an invalid test than a dead human. I wonder. Hive murmured. I truly wonder what we are witnessing here. 2 hours passed. Will remained motionless except for occasional sips of coffee. His scanner displayed the surrounding area in infrared, but he kept it on low brightness to preserve his night vision. The fish lay undisturbed in their container. Then the forest went quiet. Every survival instinct humans had developed over millions of years screamed warnings in the sudden silence. Prey animals went still when apex predators approached. Will kept his breathing steady and fought the urge to run. His hands gripped the chair arms, but he forced himself not to move. River emerged from the trees like smoke gaining substance. Even knowing she was coming, Will's breath caught. She was larger in person than the camera suggested. More real, more powerful. 6 legs moved in perfect coordination, distributing her weight so carefully she made almost no sound. 3 pairs of eyes locked onto him. Will met her gaze calmly, then deliberately looked away. Direct eye contact meant challenge or threat in most predator species. He kept his posture relaxed, non-aggressive, taking slow breaths and letting his shoulders drop. River approached the fish container, but her attention never left the human. She circled twice, testing angles, evaluating threat levels. The injured paw left a subtle drag mark in the dirt. Will spoke softly. Hey there, beautiful. I know that paw hurts. Infection, probably, from the swelling pattern. Bet it makes hunting difficult. His voice carried no fear. River's ears, 4 of them arranged in pairs along her skull, swiveled toward the sound. She growled, a deep rumbling that Will felt in his chest. I know. Big scary noise. You're doing great. Very intimidating. He kept his tone conversational, soothing. That fish is all yours. Fresh today. Good protein for healing. River lowered her head to the container and ate, but never stopped watching him. She consumed the entire offering in minutes, powerful jaws crushing through bones like they were breadsticks. When the food was gone, she sat. Just sat there 20 meters from a human, studying him with 6 unblinking eyes. Will studied her back. The injury was definitely infected. He could see the heat signature from here. The way she kept that paw slightly elevated even while sitting. Left untreated, infection could spread. On Earth, he'd seen wild cats die from similar wounds. I could help with that, he said quietly. I'm a veterinarian. It's literally my job to fix hurt animals, but you'd have to trust me, and trust is hard, isn't it? River tilted her massive head. Yeah, I wouldn't trust me either if I were you. Strange creature making weird noises. But think about it. Will slowly, very slowly, reached into his bag and pulled out a medical kit. He opened it with careful movements, showing her the contents. Antibiotics, pain relief,
Cleaning supplies.
all good things. For 10 minutes, nothing happened. River watched. Will waited. The night air cooled around them. Then River stood and walked away, disappearing into the forest as silently as she had arrived. Will released a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. His hand shook slightly as he packed up his equipment. Ruby was right. He was completely insane, but River hadn't attacked. She'd eaten. She'd sat with him. She'd listened. Tomorrow night he would bring more fish and move his chair 5 meters closer. On the observation deck, Hive replayed the footage 3 times. Remarkable. The human attempted medical assessment of a creature that could kill him in seconds. Attempted stupidity, Drell corrected, but his voice carried less certainty than before. Perhaps. Or perhaps humans understand something about predators that we have forgotten. They were prey once on their own world. They remember what it means to be hunted. Maybe that gives them insight we lack. Drell said nothing. He couldn't argue with what they had both witnessed. The human had sat before an apex predator and offered help instead of violence. It defied every logical expectation, which meant either the human was a fool, or the Council's understanding of predator-prey dynamics was fundamentally incomplete. Drell suspected, with growing unease, that it might be the latter. Lena Osei had served in 3 different planetary security forces before taking the posting on Riverside, and she had learned to trust her instincts. Right now, those instincts were screaming at her as she pushed through the forest undergrowth, following the tracker signal from Will's emergency beacon. She had given him space for 6 days. 6 days of watching reports about giant predator tracks and late-night feeding sessions. 6 days of telling herself that Will knew what he was doing, that his expertise with animals would keep him safe. But when he missed his morning check-in, every alarm bell in her head started ringing. The tracker led her to a small clearing. What she found there made her stop dead. Will sat cross-legged on the ground, his medical kit open beside him. Less than 3 meters away, the massive creature she'd only seen in camera footage lay on its side, one injured paw extended toward the human. Will was talking in low, soothing tones while cleaning the wound with steady hands. "Easy, River, I know it stings. Infection fought back pretty hard, didn't it? But we're winning. Almost done." The creature, River apparently, made a rumbling sound that vibrated through the air, not aggressive. Almost like purring, if purring came from something that could bite a human in half. Lena's hand moved to her sidearm on pure instinct. "Please don't," Will said without looking up. "She'll interpret that as a threat, and we've worked too hard to build trust." "Will, what in the name of Earth are you doing?" "Treating an infected wound." "Lena, meet River. River, this is Captain Osei. She's cranky but good people." River's 6 eyes tracked Lena with unsettling intelligence. The creature's lips pulled back slightly, revealing teeth designed for tearing flesh. Lena felt her pulse hammering in her throat. "Will, step away from the animal slowly." "Can't do that. I'm in the middle of wound irrigation. If I stop now, all this progress is wasted." Will continued working, applying antibiotic gel to the inflamed tissue around River's toe. "Besides, she let me get this far. Walking away now would break the trust we've established." "The trust?" Lena repeated flatly. "You've established trust with an apex predator. She's not that different from a big cat back home. Bigger, sure. More eyes, extra legs, but the behavior patterns are similar. Social intelligence, curiosity, pain avoidance. She knew I was trying to help." Lena watched, heart in her throat, as Will wrapped the injured paw in bandaging. River remained still, occasionally making that strange purring rumble. When Will finished, the creature pulled her paw back and sniffed at the bandage with interest. "There you go, girl. Keep that clean for a few days. I'll check it again tomorrow." Will packed his supplies with calm efficiency. No sudden movements, constantly aware of the predator's position. River stood, and Lena's hand tightened on her weapon. But the creature simply walked to Will and did something that would haunt Lena's dreams for weeks. She rubbed her massive head against his shoulder, nearly knocking him over, then walked back into the forest. Silence filled the clearing. "So," Will said cheerfully, "that went well." "That went well? Will, you just pet a killing machine." "She pet me, technically. Sign of affection and trust in most feline species. It's actually really good progress." He stood and brushed dirt from his pants. "Sorry I missed check-in." "Lost track of time." Lena stared at him. "You have a death wish." "I have a veterinary degree and 20 years of experience with large predators." "There's a difference." He smiled at her shocked expression. "Come on, I need breakfast and you look like you need something stronger than coffee." They walked back toward the colony, Lena keeping her scanner active for any signs of River following. Will chatted about infection rates and antibiotic protocols like they just treated a house cat instead of a creature that could hunt them for sport. "You said she rubbed against you," Lena finally interrupted. "That's scent marking. I had a German Shepherd back on Earth. He did that to claim his territory." "Exactly. River is claiming me as part of her territory. Not as prey, as family." Will's eyes lit up with excitement. "This is incredible, Lena. We're witnessing the initial stages of cross-species bonding. The same process that led to humans domesticating wolves thousands of years ago. We're not domesticating that thing. Of course not. River is wild and should stay wild. But we can coexist. She can learn we're not a threat, and we can learn to respect her territory." They emerged from the forest to find Ruby and 3 other colonists waiting anxiously at the tree line. Ruby's relief was visible. "Doc, we were about to send a full search team. Sorry, everyone. Just doing some field medicine." Will held up his kit with a grin. "On the giant murder cat," Ruby added. "She has a name. Show some respect." The story spread through the colony faster than wildfire. By lunch, everyone knew that Doc Hayes had treated the massive predator stalking their perimeter. Reactions ranged from awe to absolute terror. The council received 47 requests for evacuation within the first hour. Captain Osei stood in her office, reviewing the situation reports when her communications officer appeared in the doorway. "Ma'am, we're getting some unusual readings from the forest. Multiple large signatures approaching from the northeast." Lena felt her stomach drop. "How many?" "3 more, ma'am. Same size and thermal pattern as the first one." On the observation deck, Ambassador Drell's feathers stood completely on end. "There are 4 of them? You released a pack hunter into a human settlement." Hive's mandibles clicked rapidly, processing data streams. The Shreth was documented as a solitary species. "This is unprecedented. Then your documentation was wrong." Drell's voice hit a pitch that made the other observers wince. "We need to evacuate immediately." "Wait." Hive zoomed in on the approaching creatures. "Look at their formation. The original Shreth is leading them. She is bringing them to the colony deliberately, bringing a pack to slaughter the humans. Or," Hive said slowly, "bringing her family to meet the strange creature that healed her injury." Below, River emerged from the tree line with 3 other massive predators. The colonists who saw them screamed and ran for shelters. Alarms blared across the settlement. Security teams mobilized with weapons ready. Will Hayes ran toward the creatures instead of away. Lena cursed and ran after him, shouting orders to hold fire. They reached the edge of the residential area as River sat down, the 3 others flanking her. The newcomers growled, low and threatening, evaluating this new territory. Will raised both hands, palms out, and spoke clearly. "Hey, River, are these your people?" River made her purring rumble. One of the other creatures, slightly larger and more scarred, stepped forward protectively. "Male," Lena noted automatically. "Probably River's mate. Okay, I get it. You're the protective type." Will kept his voice calm. "That's good. River's lucky to have you. I'm Will." I fixed her paw. "See the bandage?" The male Shreth stared at the bandaging, then at Will, then back at River. River bumped her head against her mate's shoulder and made a series of low, chirping sounds. "Is she talking to him?" Lena whispered. "Looks like it. Body language suggests she's explaining what happened." Will slowly crouched down, making himself less threatening. "We're not here to hurt anyone. This is our home. You've got your territory. We can share space without fighting." The 2 younger Shreths, smaller than River but still massive, crept closer with obvious curiosity. Kits, Lena realized. They were juveniles, still learning about the world. One of them stretched toward Will, sniffing the air near his face. Will stayed perfectly still and let the young predator investigate. "Well, hello there. You're a brave one." Behind them, 24 security personnel stood with weapons raised, waiting for Lena's orders. The entire colony held its breath. River stood and walked to Will, placing herself between him and her family. She looked back at him, then at her mate, then made a decision that would change everything. She lay down at Will's feet. The message was clear. This human was under her protection. He was part of her pack now. 2 weeks transformed everything. The pack that terrified the colony during their first appearance now felt like an unusual but accepted part of daily life. Will had named them all with the colonists' help. River's mate became Brooke, steady and watchful. The 2 juveniles, clearly siblings, earned the names Creek and Stream based on their personalities. Creek, the bolder one, investigated everything with fearless curiosity. Stream, more cautious, preferred to observe from safe distances but could be bribed with food. The colony children adored them, which gave Captain Osei daily heart attacks. "Absolutely not," Lena said for the 5th time that morning as a group of 8-year-olds petitioned to pet Creek. "They're wild animals, not puppies." "But Creek lets Doc Will touch him," protested a girl named Amy. "We watched yesterday. Doc Will spent 3 weeks building trust and knows what he's doing." "You'll get eaten." "Creek wouldn't eat us. He's nice." Lena pinched the bridge of her nose and wondered if Colony Command offered hazard pay for dealing with fearless children. "Nice things can still accidentally hurt you. Creek weighs about 400 kilos. If he gets excited and bumps into you while playing, you'll break bones." "Oh." Amy considered this. "Can we at least watch from the fence?" "Yes, watching from the fence is fine. With adult supervision." The children scattered, satisfied with their compromise. Lena found Will near the south field where the pack spent most of their time. Brooke was teaching the juveniles to hunt, using a training method that involved a lot of pouncing practice. Creek kept trying to show off, leaping higher than necessary. Stream watched her brother with obvious skepticism. "We need to establish formal guidelines," Lena said without preamble. "The pack is integrating too well. People are getting comfortable. That's good, isn't it?" Will didn't look up from his notes. He was documenting pack behavior patterns for what he called the first comprehensive study of Shreth social dynamics. "It's dangerous. They're apex predators, Will. One mistake and someone dies. So we don't make mistakes. We educate people." He gestured to where River was systematically patrolling the colony perimeter. "Look at her. She's protecting us. Last night she chased off something that was trying to get into the chicken coops. Left claw marks on the fence but didn't touch a single bird. She's territorial. We're just part of that territory now." "Exactly. Which means the pack has a vested interest in keeping us safe." Will finally looked at her. "I know you're worried. I'm worried too. But this is working, Lena. We're proving that humans and apex predators can coexist peacefully. Until they can't. Then we adapt. But I don't think it'll come to that." His confidence was either inspiring or terrifying, and Lena couldn't decide which. On the observation deck, the council representatives had multiplied. What started as a simple assessment now had 12 different species watching with varying degrees of disbelief. Ambassador Drell had given up trying to explain human behavior and simply presented the facts. The humans have integrated 4 apex predators into their colony structure. The predators hunt in the surrounding territory and return with prey, some of which they share with the colonists. In exchange, the humans provide medical care and a safe resting area. A crystalline delegate, her body refracting light into rainbow patterns, spoke with obvious confusion. But the predators could simply take what they want. Why do they participate in this exchange? "We believe the human created a social bond with the injured female first," Hive explained. She then introduced her family unit to that bond. The predators now view the humans as part of their pack structure. Impossible. Pack bonds form between related individuals or species with similar evolutionary paths. And yet it happened. Hive displayed footage of Creek playing with colonist children, carefully controlling his strength while they threw a ball for him to chase. "Observe. The juvenile actively moderates his responses to avoid injuring the smaller pack members. The smaller pack members being human children," Drell added dryly. "I've stopped trying to apply logic to this situation." Another delegate, reptilian with deep blue scales, leaned forward intently. "This is remarkable. My species has tried for generations to work alongside our world's predators. We've failed consistently. How did the humans succeed so quickly?" The human veterinarian used patience, respect, and demonstrated understanding of predator psychology, Hive said. He approached them as intelligent beings worthy of consideration, rather than mindless threats to be controlled or eliminated. Down in the colony, that philosophy was being tested. Stream had discovered the colony's vegetable gardens and found them perfect for afternoon naps. The afternoon sun warmed the soil nicely, and the raised beds provided comfortable resting spots. Unfortunately, Stream weighed as much as a small transport vehicle and crushed tomato plants like tissue paper. "No, Stream. Off." Will pointed firmly away from the gardens. "Those are for eating, not sleeping." Stream looked at him with 6 innocent eyes, clearly not understanding the problem. "You can sleep literally anywhere else. The entire forest is available, but not on the tomatoes." Brooke appeared from the tree line, took one look at the situation, and growled at his daughter. Stream slunk off the garden bed with an embarrassed posture that made several watching colonists laugh. "Even the dad is enforcing our rules now," Ruby said, filming the interaction. "This is surreal. Pack dynamics," Will explained. Brooke recognized I was correcting his juvenile and backed me up. "It's actually a sign of respect. He sees me as a pack member with authority. You've become part of a Shreth pack hierarchy." "Technically, yes. Somewhere between River and the juveniles in terms of status, if I'm reading the social cues correctly. Your life is bizarre. Your life is boring," Will countered with a grin. That evening brought unexpected developments. River led her pack to the colony center, which she'd avoided until now. The central plaza filled with nervous colonists as the 4 massive predators approached. Brooke carried something in his jaws, something large and recently killed. He dropped the carcass at Will's feet. The creature was unfamiliar to Riverside colonists. Six-legged like the Shreths but built for speed rather than power. Its hide bore the distinctive marks of a successful hunt. Clean kill, quick death. Oh no, Will said quietly. What? Lena moved closer, hand near her weapon out of habit. It's a gift. Brooke is bringing me food because he views me as pack. Is that bad? It's complicated. Will knelt near the carcass, examining it carefully. In pack dynamics, providing food for other members is a sign of bonding and cooperation. If I refuse it, I might insult him. If I accept it, I'm reinforcing that we're all packed together. So accept it. That means they'll bring more. We'll become the weird pack members who get fed because we're not good hunters. Lena started laughing. That's actually kind of accurate. Most of us couldn't catch dinner if our lives depended on it. Will sighed and stood, turning to face Brooke. Thank you. This is very generous, Brooke rumbled, satisfied. Creek and Stream immediately perked up, clearly hoping this meant they could share the prize. River bumped Will's shoulder with her head, that affectionate gesture that still made Lena nervous. Ruby, Will called. Get the kitchen staff. We've got protein for tonight's meal. The colony learned to process gifts from giant predators. Within days, it became almost routine. The Shreths hunted, shared their catches, and in return enjoyed protection from the human settlement during their rest periods. The juveniles played with colonist children under careful supervision. River continued her perimeter patrols, alert for threats. On the observation deck, the council representatives watched what should have been impossible. They've done it, the crystalline delegate said softly. The humans have created a functional cross-species cooperative pack. My species needs to learn this skill, the reptilian delegate added. Our predator conflicts cost lives every year, Hive clicked thoughtfully. Perhaps that should be the next phase of evaluation. What do you mean? Drell asked. We came to test if humans could survive predators. They've exceeded all expectations. Now we should test if they can teach others to do the same. You want to bring more species here? I want to see if this human approach can be replicated. If so, we may need to fundamentally reconsider how galactic society approaches dangerous fauna. Drell's crest lifted slightly. You're suggesting humans have developed a revolutionary approach to predator management. I'm suggesting humans see predators differently than we do. Not as threats to be eliminated or avoided, but as individuals capable of reason and cooperation. That perspective may be exactly what the galaxy needs. Below, Will Hayes sat in the evening sun with a juvenile Shreth's head in his lap, carefully checking the creature's teeth for signs of decay, while Brooke watched approvingly. It was a scene of impossible peace between species that should have been eternal enemies, and somehow it worked. Commander Wrath's scales shifted from deep crimson to confused purple as his transport descended toward Riverside. His species, the Draconians, had spent 3 centuries trying to coexist with the apex predators on their home world. 3 centuries of failures, deaths, and constant territorial conflicts. When reports reached the Draconian Council about humans successfully integrating with similar creatures, Wrath volunteered immediately to investigate. Now, watching the landing zone through his viewport, he wondered if the reports were elaborate fiction. A human female in security uniform waited at the landing pad, professional and alert. Behind her, 4 enormous predators lounged in the afternoon sun like domestic pets. One of the juveniles was playing with human children. Playing, not hunting. Not threatening. Playing. Wrath's translator had to be malfunctioning. Commander Wrath, welcome to Riverside. Captain Lena Ose extended her hand in the human greeting gesture. I'm Captain Ose, Colony Security Chief. I understand you're here to observe our predator integration program. I'm here because I don't believe it exists, Wrath said bluntly. His species valued directness. My people have tried for generations to achieve what you claim to have done in weeks. Fair enough. Let me introduce you to our team. Lena gestured toward a human male approaching with confident, relaxed body language. This is Will Hayes, our veterinarian and the architect of the integration program. Will smiled and offered his hand. Wrath shook it, noting the human's grip was firm but not aggressive. Commander, ready to meet the pack? The pack, Wrath repeated. You refer to them as family units, because that's what they are. River, the matriarch, her mate Brooke, and their juveniles Creek and Stream. Will gestured to each Shreth as he named them. They're individuals with distinct personalities, not mindless killing machines. All predators are killing machines. That's their nature. Killing is their survival mechanism, Will corrected gently. But they're also social, intelligent, and capable of complex relationships. Come on, I'll show you. Against every survival instinct, Wrath followed the human toward the resting predators. The largest female, River apparently, raised her head and fixed 6 eyes on the newcomer. Wrath's scales went pale gray, the draconian fear response. Easy, Will said softly. River, this is Commander Wrath. He's here to learn from us. Be nice. River stood and walked toward them. Wrath forced himself not to retreat. His honor would not survive running from a predator in front of humans. The creature stopped 2 meters away and sniffed the air carefully, processing his scent. Then she sat and made a rumbling sound that vibrated through Wrath's chest. She's purring, Will explained. It's a non-aggressive greeting. She's saying you're welcome here, but she's watching you. How do you know this? Body language, vocalizations, behavioral patterns. Same way I'd read any large predator. Here, watch. Will moved closer to River and ran his hand along her neck. The massive creature leaned into the touch, rumbling louder. She's a sweetheart once you earn her trust. Sweetheart, Wrath said weakly. You call an apex predator a sweetheart. She is sweet. Fierce, definitely. Protective of her family, absolutely. But also affectionate and surprisingly patient. Will gestured for Wrath to come closer. Want to try? No, absolutely not. Your choice. But you came here to learn, right? This is part of it. Understanding they're not monsters. They're people, just shaped differently. Over the next 3 days, Commander Wrath's understanding of predators shattered and rebuilt itself. He watched Will treat a minor injury on Creek while the juvenile remained calm and trusting. He observed Brooke bringing food to the colony and sharing it peacefully. He saw Stream playing with human children, carefully controlling her strength to avoid accidents. Most importantly, he watched the humans. Their confidence came from knowledge, not fearlessness. They respected the Shreth's power while treating them as worthy of dignity and cooperation. On the 4th day, Will invited Wrath to observe a training session. Training? Wrath's scales flickered orange with curiosity. You train them? Not like teaching tricks, more like establishing communication protocols. Will held up a small device that made different sounds. We've developed audio signals they recognize. This one means danger approaching. This one means food available. This one means humans need space. And they respond. Watch. Will activated the danger signal. Immediately, all 4 Shreths moved to defensive positions around the colony's vulnerable areas. The children's play area, the medical center, the residential zones. They're protecting the pack. Remarkable. Will activated the all-clear signal and the Shreths relaxed back into their usual routines. Communication is the foundation of everything. Once they understood we were trying to talk to them, not control them, the relationship transformed. My people try to control our predators, Wrath admitted quietly. Barriers, weapons, containment. We never considered communication, because you see them as threats rather than neighbors. Will sat on a bench and Creek immediately came over to rest his massive head on the human's lap. Threats get eliminated. Neighbors get understood. How do I take this knowledge back to my world? Start small. Find one predator, probably injured or young. Build trust before anything else. Let them approach you on their terms. Provide value without demanding submission. Will scratched behind Creek's ears and the juvenile made a pleased chirping sound. Patience matters more than force. That evening, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session via quantum communication. Ambassador Drell presented the situation with visible amazement in his posture. Commander Wrath confirms the reports. The humans have successfully integrated apex predators into their colony through mutual cooperation and respect. More importantly, Wrath believes his species can replicate the process using human methodology. This changes everything, the crystalline delegate said. Predator conflicts cost the galaxy billions in resources and countless lives annually. If humans can teach us their approach, Hive's mandibles clicked rapidly. I propose we grant the humans full council citizenship immediately, along with special status as Galactic Wildlife Management Consultants. Seconded, Drell said without hesitation. The test was designed to evaluate their survival capabilities. They exceeded all parameters and demonstrated a skill set the galaxy desperately needs. We tried to frighten them, another delegate observed. Instead, they made friends with our test subject and revolutionized our understanding of predator management. Very human solution, Drell agreed. Though I'm beginning to think we don't give humans enough credit for their unusual approaches. The vote was unanimous. Back on Riverside, Will received the notification with characteristic understatement. Huh, we're galactic wildlife consultants now. That's neat, Lena laughed. Neat. We just solved a galaxy-wide problem by petting murder cats and you think it's neat. I mean, it is neat. River's neat. Brooke's neat. The whole situation is pretty neat. You're impossible. I prefer optimistically persistent. Will's communicator chimed with incoming requests. Oh wow. 15 different species want consultations about predator conflicts. 17 colonies requesting integration assistance. The Draconian Council wants me to visit their homeworld personally. You're going to be busy. We're going to be busy. I'll need security support, medical teams, trainers. This is bigger than one veterinarian and his weird cat friends. River chose that moment to walk over and bump her head against Will's side hard enough to make him stagger. Brooke and the juveniles followed, creating a protective circle around their humans. See? Will gestured at the pack. They understand. We're in this together. Humans, Shreths, whoever wants to learn. We're building something new here. Commander Wrath stood nearby, recording everything. His scales had settled into determined gold. My people need this. How soon can you visit our world? Give me 2 weeks to organize things here. Then we'll show your people what real predator integration looks like. Will smiled. Fair warning, Commander. Once you start seeing predators as individuals worth knowing, you can't go back to the old ways. Good, Wrath said firmly. The old ways don't work. Time for new ones. On the observation deck, Hive watched the humans and their predator pack gathering for the evening meal. Together, interspecies cooperation made manifest. We tested them wrong, Hive said to Drell. We tried to measure survival capability. We should have measured compassion capacity. Does it matter? The results speak for themselves. It matters because we almost missed their greatest strength. Humans don't just survive hostile environments. They transform them into communities. Below, Will Hayes sat surrounded by massive predators that trusted him completely, planning missions to help dozens of species solve problems that had plagued them for generations. The human who had named a killing, Machine River, and treated her infected paw. Without fear, the galaxy would never look at predators the same way again, and it was all because one human decided that making friends was better than making enemies, even when the potential friend had 6 legs, 3 pairs of eyes, and teeth designed for hunting. 6 months after the Council granted humanity full citizenship status, the Galactic Wildlife Management and Rehabilitation Corps operated from 17 different worlds with permanent offices on 43 more. Will Hayes barely recognized his life anymore. The quiet veterinarian who once ran a small clinic on Riverside now coordinated teams across multiple star systems, teaching species that had feared their own planets, predators for generations. The success stories poured in daily. The Draconian homeworld reported 0 predator-related deaths for the first time in recorded history. Commander Wrath personally led the integration program, using techniques learned directly from Will. 3 apex predator packs now lived in cooperative territories around major Draconian cities, providing pest control and territorial protection in exchange for medical care and safe spaces. The crystalline colonies on Prism 7 had formed bonds with the massive flying hunters that once made sky travel deadly. Now those same hunters guided crystal transports through dangerous weather patterns, their superior navigation abilities saving countless lives during storm season. Even the normally isolated hive species requested assistance after watching other worlds transform their predator relationships. Their planet's tunneling apex predators, once seen as unstoppable threats, now worked alongside hive engineers to expand underground networks safely. Will stood in the Riverside Central Hub, reviewing progress reports while River dozed at his feet. She went everywhere with him now. The ultimate demonstration of successful integration. Ambassadors who once feared Shreth attacks now requested River's presence at diplomatic functions. She had become something of a galactic celebrity. The Centauri want us on their southern continent by next month, Lena said, reviewing schedules on her datapad. She'd transitioned from colony security chief to operations director for the entire Corps, managing logistics across dozens of worlds. They've got a situation with pack hunters disrupting settlements. Pack hunters are actually easier than solo predators, Will noted, scratching River behind her ears. Pack dynamics give us more tools to work with. Send Team 7. Ruby's got excellent instincts with pack behaviors. Already did. She leaves tomorrow. Lena sat beside him, looking tired but satisfied. We're changing the galaxy, Will. The galaxy was ready to change. We just showed them how. Don't sell yourself short. None of this happens without you sitting in a forest with fish scraps, waiting for a giant murder cat to trust you. River lifted her head and made an offended rumbling sound. Sorry. River, giant friendship cat. The Shreth settled back down, satisfied with the correction. Outside, Creek and Stream had grown into impressive adults, each leading their own packs now. They stayed near Riverside, treating the colony as their home territory while ranging across the wider continent. Brooke had become a legend among local wildlife, the patriarch whose pack cooperated with humans and taught other predators to do the same. The model worked because it was simple. Respect, patience, and mutual benefit. No dominance, no subjugation, just two species finding common ground. Will's communicator chimed with an incoming transmission marked urgent. He accepted, and Ambassador Drell's face appeared in holographic form. Will, we have a situation that requires your expertise. What kind of situation? The kind that could define the future of the core. We've received a request from the Outer Rim territories. There's a species there newly contacted that's in crisis. Their world has apex predators far more dangerous than anything we've integrated so far. Multiple fatalities daily. Their population is declining. Sounds like they need us. It's more complex. This species, the Quen, they're a warrior culture. They view the predators as enemies to be destroyed. They've fought them for generations. Requesting help from other species, especially for something they consider a matter of honor, goes against everything they believe. Will considered this carefully, so they're desperate enough to ask but proud enough to resist the solution. Precisely. If we fail, they'll never trust outside assistance again. If we succeed, it could open an entire sector to cooperative predator management. When do we leave? Drell's crest lifted in what Will had learned was approval. I knew you'd say that. Transport leaves in 3 days. You'll take your full senior team and River. River's coming? Will looked down at his partner, who had definitely perked up at hearing her name. This must be serious if you want our demonstration team. The Quen respect strength. Seeing a human with a bonded apex predator may be the only thing that gets their attention. 3 days later, Will stood on the bridge of a council transport, watching the Quen homeworld grow larger in the viewport. Beside him, River observed with calm interest. The rest of his team checked equipment and reviewed cultural briefing materials. Lena coordinated with Quen authorities about landing zones and initial meeting protocols. They're not happy we're here, she reported. The Quen Council agreed to this meeting under pressure from the Galactic Assembly. Expect hostility. We've handled hostile before, Ruby said confidently. She'd grown from uncertain clinic assistant to one of the Corps' best field operatives. Remember the Prism 7 delegation that tried to ban us? They're our biggest supporters. Now, the Prism delegates didn't have cultural honor codes about defeating enemies in single combat. Details. The transport landed in a fortified compound surrounded by high walls and defensive emplacements. Will could see claw marks on the barriers, evidence of regular attacks. Burn marks and weapon scoring told stories of violent conflicts. The Quen who met them looked like warriors because they were. Heavy armor, visible weapons, scars marking their gray skin. Their leader, a female named Commander Shell, examined the human team with obvious skepticism. You are the famous human who tames monsters, she said bluntly. You look soft. I am soft, Will agreed pleasantly. Humans are pretty fragile compared to most species. That's why we learn to make friends instead of enemies. We have no friends here, only prey and predators. We are prey that fights back. Have you considered a third option? What option? Partners. Will gestured and River moved forward to stand beside him. The Quen warriors immediately raised weapons, defensive formations activating on pure instinct. River sat calmly and made her rumbling purr. This is River. She's an apex predator from my world. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council put her near my colony to test if humans could survive predators. They thought we'd panic or die. Will rested his hand on River's head. Instead, I treated her injury, earned her trust, and integrated her pack into our community. Now she's family. Commander Shell stared. You claim this predator is family. She is family. She protects my people. We protect hers. We hunt together, rest together, raise our young together. Mutual benefit through cooperation. Impossible. Predators take. They don't give. They give plenty if you approach them correctly. River gives protection, early warning of dangers, hunting support, companionship. In exchange, my people give medical care, safe territory, and respect. Will met Shal's eyes directly. We can teach you the same approach with your predators. Our predators are nothing like your tame pet. River isn't tame. She's wild and dangerous and perfectly capable of killing me if she chose to. But she doesn't choose to because we have a relationship built on trust. Shal walked closer, studying River with Warrior's assessment. If I struck you now, what would she do? Probably kill you before you finished the motion. She's very protective. This is partnership. I must fear attacking you. No. Partnership means you don't want to attack me because we're working toward the same goal. Your predators aren't your enemies, Commander. They're your potential greatest allies. You just have to stop fighting long enough to learn their language. Over the following weeks, Will's team worked with the Quen to revolutionize centuries of warfare. They identified the local apex predators, massive armored hunters that moved in coordinated groups. They studied behavior patterns, communication methods, territorial boundaries. Then came the hard part. Convincing warriors to approach their ancient enemies without weapons. Commander Shal volunteered to be first. Will stood beside her at the edge of predator territory, both unarmed, except for River's presence. Remember, body language matters more than words. Stay calm, show respect. Let them make the first move. If this kills me, my warriors will kill you. Fair enough. But it won't kill you. Trust the process. The Quen predator emerged from the rocky terrain, massive and heavily armored with natural plating that had stopped countless weapons. Four eyes assessed the unusual scene. One human, one Quen, one Shreth, all standing together peacefully. Shal's entire body wanted to fight. Generations of warrior instincts screamed attack commands. But she held position, breathing steadily like Will taught her. The predator approached cautiously. It had never seen prey that didn't run or fight. River made her purring rumble, that sound that communicated peaceful intent. The Quen predator tilted its head, processing this new information. Then slowly, carefully, it sat down. Will smiled. Now we're talking. That single moment changed everything. Within months, the Quen had integrated predator packs into their city defenses. The warriors who once fought their world's hunters now fought alongside them. Casualty rates dropped to almost nothing. Population growth returned to healthy levels. The corps expanded to include Quen warriors as specialized trainers for high-danger predator zones. Their combat experience combined with human empathy approaches created powerful new methods. Will stood on a hillside overlooking the main Quen city, watching predator packs and warriors patrol together. River leaned against him companionably. You know what the council said when they designed that test, he mused. They wanted to see if humans could survive meeting apex predators. Lena joined him, equally content.
And instead, you revolutionized galactic society. We showed them a different perspective.
Everything else followed naturally. Below, a young Quen warrior practiced approach techniques with a juvenile predator while her human instructor supervised. Partnership across species, spreading through the galaxy one connection at a time, all because one human refused to see teeth and claws in danger. Instead, he saw an injured animal that needed help and had the courage to offer it. The predator assignment had backfired spectacularly, and the galaxy was better for it.